In this lesson, we're going to try to do 3 future tenses. The future continuous, there are 3 basic rules, which we'll come to in maybe a 4th one, but we're using will be plus the present participle or going to plus the present participle. The first rule, action in progress at a particular time in the future. We will be eating dinner when you arrive. I will be waiting at the station when your train comes. She will be working tonight, so she will not see Emily. Or tonight at midnight, Santa Claus is going to be coming down the chimney. On Tuesday, we'll be travelling to Switzerland. We can think of these as times in the future interrupted. That gives us our second rule, parallel action in the future. Things which will happen in the future. And which will happen at the same time. This might be specific plans, storytelling, we might use it for atmosphere. I'm going to be making dinner and he is going to be studying. I'll be seeing John tomorrow at his party, everybody will be celebrating. The third rule, polite requests. Remember, in English we detest a command. Will you be needing this book later? When will you be returning? In addition, a 4th possible rule, someone said there are no rules in English, there's simply guidelines, but some of these guidelines are important. The point is that the rules, all these grammar rules, were made up at a time at which English was well developed. In fact, the English dictionary was a very late development, which is why English spelling is so peculiar. So don't be worried about your spelling. Actually, don't be too worried even if your grammar is odd. Be worried if you don't have a big enough vocabulary, because that is the key to English. So always make sure you are learning new words every day. Now this 4th rule, when we use if or whether with expressions like, I don't know if, I doubt, I wonder whether he will ever come. You use the future simple in these cases. It's so late, it's 2 o'clock. I think he will come after lunch now. So be careful. There are words that indicate the future in English which can be misleading when we would use the present continuous after these time expressions, for example. Time expressions like after, even, if, until, as long as, when, as soon as, unless, whenever, before, in case, while, by the time, the moment, when, on condition that, the next time, provided, providing, supposing, the sooner, once. While I am finishing my homework, my brother will make dinner. Now this 4th rule, when we use if or whether with expressions like, I don't know if, I wonder whether he will ever come. Use the future simple, okay? He's so late, it's 2 o'clock. I think he will come after lunch now. Also, take care about non-continuous verbs. Will be, want, cost, seem, need, care, contain, owe and exist. Do not use non-continuous verbs with a continuous tense. So John will be at my home when you arrive. The future perfect. We use will have plus the past participle, or is going to have plus the past participle. There are only 2 rules here. A completed action before something else in the future. By this time tomorrow, I will have finished the film. Will she have learned enough Russian by the time she gets to Moscow? By the time you take the IELTS or the proficiency exam, you will have watched all my videos on YouTube. We can use the future perfect for an incomplete action before something else in the future. By the time I leave, I will have been in Paris for 3 weeks. By May, she is going to have had my money for 3 years. Is it acceptable? How much does she owe us? And again, avoid time clauses, especially till. If you want to use a time clause, use the present perfect. I am going to see a movie when I have finished this lesson. Oh, exception. You can use until with the future perfect if it is negative, if the meaning is negative. I won't have finished until 8:30. By that time the film will have begun. Finally, the future perfect continuous. Do you remember the word execrable? My writing is becoming increasingly execrable. Remember, develop your vocabulary. We use the future perfect continuous for the duration of an action up to a specific time in the future. By June, I will have been living in Oxford for 12 years. By the end of January, I will have been studying English for 3 months. Very enthusiastically, we trust. The reference points in the future, however, are often in the present simple. They will have been talking about him for 3 hours by the time John arrives. John arrives in the present simple. They will have been talking about him in the future perfect continuous. How many years will you have been studying when you finally graduate? 17. That is improbable. Think of visa interviews, particularly in the British consulate or British embassy. When you finish your studies, will you have been living in the UK for more than 11 consecutive years? No, I will have been living there for not that long, no. So you don't get your visa. Use present tenses with time expressions. So it's much the same as the other tenses we're looking at today, such as when, while, before, after, by the time, as soon as, unless, and if. You won't get your exam until you have been studying as hard as Betty. You might do better by watching more of my videos. Next time, we will look at plural nouns, and this is Tim. Plural nouns. The simple rule is well known. When you have 2 or more things, you stick an S on the word. 1 cat, 2 cats. But English plurals get complicated, partly because much of our vocabulary has been stolen from other languages, and the words we have stolen often retain the rules which are appropriate for plurals in that original language. So, here's a bit of fun. Can anybody tell me what the plural of